The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Impact segment tonight. Speaker of the House John Boehner appeared on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday and was put on the spot about President Obama's religion.
As the Speaker of the House, as a leader, do you not think it's your responsibility to stand up to that kind of ignorance?
David, it's not my job to tell the American people what to think. Our job in Washington is to listen to the American people. Having said that, the state of Hawaii has said that he was born there. That's good enough for me. The president says he's a Christian. I accept him at his word.
Now, that sounded like the speaker answered the question about the president's birth and his religion, did it not? But Mr. Gregory continued.
Isn't that a little bit fast and loose? I mean, you are the leader in Congress, and you're not standing up to obvious facts and saying, these are facts. If you don't believe that, it's nonsense. That kind of ignorance about whether he's a Muslim doesn't concern you? Why isn't it your job to stand up and say, no, the facts are these?
Joining now to react, Fox News analyst Mary Catherine Ham and Juan Williams are in Washington tonight. So, Juan, I mean, you know, we got a country that's just about bankrupt, or I mean, maybe selling furniture in Capitol Hill pretty soon. He's back in the birth certificate Muslim stuff, which I guess about, I don't know, I'm not getting this. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I have two thoughts. One is that Brian Williams, before Gregory asked this, was asking the same questions of Boehner, and that there's a pattern emerging that NBC says, you know, seems like their story, which is that they can't get the Republican leadership to repudiate the birthers or the people who think that Obama's a Muslim. And so I think they're saying it's not an act of leadership on the part of the top elected Republican officials in the country to somehow say it's not our business, people can think what they want to think, or it's a matter of opinion, as opposed to saying, you know what, this man's our president and we're not going to play politics about this. This is beneath us to in any way allow this to go on. And that's a good point by NBC,
but look,
I think.
I disagree with you, because I don't think that this has any traction at all, Juan. I don't think there's any effect in this country at all on any public policy about the president's religion or his birth certificate. It doesn't matter.
Well, then why are there 9 congressmen, Republican congressmen, I think, who have introduced some kind of legislation to question whether Obama's an American citizen?
All right,
why
you want me to answer that question? Because they're pinheads and they're playing to the crowd. But it has nothing to do.
You got it.
It has nothing to do with the business of the nation. Nothing.
Well, why? Yeah, and those are Republicans who are being led by John Boehner. So that's why the question was asked.
Look, Boehner's just the Speaker of the House. He's not leading anybody anywhere. Mary Catherine, go ahead.
Look, I mean, there's an incredible double standard here. As far as David Gregory goes, it was not a Republican who in December, or Boehner in December, who was saying, hey, you know, why doesn't Obama just come out with that birth certificate? It was NBC employee Chris Matthews saying that. Now, he was saying it in the context of being anti-birther in some way, but that's forwarding the exact same argument as the theorists do. And then second of all,
You're getting caught up in the minutia of all of this.
I want to talk about the double standard, because Bill Maher on Friday night, 2 days before this happened, was saying, hey, I don't believe Obama's a Christian. And why is that? He thinks he's a secular humanist. So it's actually legitimate. Why should those guys get away with it? And on the right, it's like, if you, down to the very last person, don't denounce this in exactly the right way, then you're like anti-Obama.
Look,
I think it's ridiculous.
Here's the deal. I don't want everybody to understand this. The issue doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sane, clear-thinking people understand the president is not a Muslim, and he wasn't born in Indonesia or whatever they're putting out there. So why does Meet the Press and NBC News take up valuable airtime to hammer a guy who has nothing to do with it, Boehner? He has no dog in the hunt. Why? What are they trying to do, Juan? There must be a reason.
Well, let me just say this to you. I've heard you say this is ridiculous and not an issue, okay?
Right.
So
Many
I
times.
take you. Right. Okay, you're the man. I appreciate that. But here's the thing. When it comes to Boehner, when it comes to Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, when it comes to Eric Cantor, there's a sense, and I think that there's a lot of people feel, it's not just NBC, that there's a little bit of coded language going on here, and when it comes to
Coded
race, when it
Ah,
comes to
yes,
a
the
person-
dog whistle.
Yes,
The dog whistle.
yes.
Yeah, you know what?
No,
maybe,
dog
maybe the
whistle,
fact
not
that
in American history. Let me tell
Coded
you,
language.
American history knows coded language.
All right, well, Juan, let me just stop you there and tease a piece coming up. I don't know whether you noticed or not, but my interview with Obama was racist because of coded language.
Oh, that's
where do you hear that?
Look,
But what I'm
that's
trying to
stupidity,
tell you
and
guys,
you're just using that. You're using that to now defuse a real conversation.
but it
You
isn't a
shouldn't
real
do that.
conversation because it doesn't matter anymore. It's a
When you
bunch
hear-
of bull that people
Yes.
made up.
Yeah, well,
that has no
yeah, okay.
impact on public policy, Juan.
Well, then
None.
why are Republican congressmen introducing legislation
Because
about
they're
it?
pinheads.
Well, and
that's why it's getting nowhere. It won't get voted on. It won't get debated. It's just a grandstand play by people who are looking for attention. Go ahead, Mary Kat.
Well, if I could give you a high five, I'd do it because you're exactly right.
First of all, maybe the fact that every time Republicans say anything about this, that we have a discussion about coded language and alleged dog whistles, might lead to the fact that people are very careful in the way that they denounce this.
So
and
you're
they try
saying
not
that
to use the
NBC
word-
News wants to inhibit criticism of the president by trotting out this ridiculous stuff?
No, I'm saying that Boehner and Cantor and McConnell are, with reason, fairly careful and consistent about the way that they're addressing this issue so that they don't get accused of other things.
Why would they
But-
bother with it? If I were Boehner, I would have said
Because
this.
they're in the
Hey,
public eye and they're
here's
going
that.
to get asked about it because the press
I gotta
loves
run.
to paint
But here's what
everyone
I would
as
have
that
said to
focus
Gregory.
group in Iowa.
And I hope the speakers listen. Here, what I would have said. Hey, don't you have any better questions to ask about? That's insane. It's not my job to police insanity. Get it? You got anything else on your plate there, Mr. Gregory? That's what I would have done. Mary Catherine
Right,
Juan.
okay, you just said it was insane. That's good.
Good. I'm glad, Juan. I'm glad
Right.
you're taking
I'm
something
sure it
away
would stop
from this.
there. I'm sure they would be satisfied
All
if they
right,
said
well,
that.
whatever. He would have won the debate.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.